Welcome back to the Humble Healer podcast. And Dr. Quang Lei, I'm a family medicine physician. So I talk about all aspects of health. And today I will go back to the partner relationship series. This time focus on what a sexless marriage can do to men. I think that biologically speaking, men and women are wired differently. So I think that when it comes to a marital relationship that's meant to be monogamous, and yet there is no sexual relationship between men and women. I think that men does have more a disproportionate suffering deep down in neurological, psychological, and biological level that I will try to take a deep dive in. And also, this episode will try to raise that awareness. So perhaps both couple or both partners of a relationship can try to make an effort to break this cycle, because the marriage without a sexual relationship is not the same marriage. And in a marriage with a healthy sexual relationship, it's rarely talked about. But when that doesn't happen, that becomes a subject of tension and emotional distress. But it's about how that, without that, it can affect a marriage and also create a self-identity crisis in men, especially. And I'm not discounting the fact that that can also affect the woman's health, since marital health to any wife or husband is an important part of anyone's health. So working together to create a mutual, loving, and safe sexual relationship is an important effort in order to maintain a healthy, long-lasting marital relationship overall. And in the next episode, I will discuss about what men can do to help break up that cycle, the tips and tricks that they can try. And then the following episode is on how a woman can also put in the effort in order to improve that relationship, not only sexual relationship, but overall relationship with their male partners. Just think about the commitment and the importance of a relationship that you have with your life partner, and how having a strong relationship can create a foundation where all aspects of your health and life depend on. So think about it as a tree that need that daily nurturing and support and love, but the tree will provide much more in return, the same support and nurturing for not only both wives and husband or both partners of a relationship, but also to everyone involved and protected by the tree of marriage. Children, the pets, the house, the families, non-immediate families and friends, everyone will benefit from having a strong foundation, a strong tree with a beautiful, sturdy foundation. So I have run into interaction, or I have interacted with men talking about how having no sexual relationship with their spouse can really affect their mental and physical health, and also perhaps lead to more compassion in the wives instead of telling them husband that husband advance as trivial and childish when they approach them to initiate sexual contact or intimacy, and maybe consider not saying, is that all that you could think about? Or you are a man, you can handle it, or take a cold shower, because it's a lot more important than just sexual activities, but more about emotional connection and feeling reassured, accepted, and valued by their wives when their advance is not being spurned. In a healthy relationship in which couple maintain regular sexual activities is rarely discussed, since it's not an issue. But when sex does not happen for a long period of time, then it becomes the elephant in the room that affects both partners negatively. It seems that affect men more due to their biology. And for them, if not met, it can be similar to being deprived of food and water. In a sexless marriage, a man is stuck and cannot leave without major disruption in his family lives. And it's also difficult to stay, since a sexless marriage can create such an existential crisis. It makes it very unbearable for them. They are trapped, and a lot of marriage researchers compare this to living in captivity, where its biological needs are not met. Plenty of research has shown that men in sexless monogamous marriages are at increased risk of depression, anxiety, elevated stress hormones, cardiovascular disease, a weakened immune system, and premature death. And let's try to figure out or explain why. Number one, skin hunger. So skin hunger or affectionate touch by someone, or even our pet, and the lack of which affectionate touch have been found to have long-term adverse effects on men, but overall human beings. Without regular affection and touch, cortisol level rises. This is the main component of the fight or flight hormone system. And then a decline in oxytocin level, which is one of the main ingredients of the rest and digest system, the loving and cuddling hormone. The chronic elevation of cortisol and decline of oxytocin lead to the increased activation of the fight or flight response and the deactivation of rest and digest hormone. As I mentioned in previous episode about these two systems, how that unbalance can really disrupt and affect all aspects of our health. And this can also contribute to increased anxiety, depression, and prolonged state of fight or flight mode. Study of premature infants in the neonatal ICU have demonstrated the importance of skin-to-skin between mom and babies in improving clinical outcome for these infants, allowing for early discharge from the NICU. The effect of affectionate touch on men's health does not end as we get older. Lots of men suffering from sexless marriage yearn for just an affectionate touch on their shoulder, which does not typically happen in sexless marriages. They're not even asking for meaningless sex, just an affectionate touch. For someone suffering from emotional pain or chronically deprived, these affectionate touch. And the second phenomenon is called the attachment system. Humans are wired to attach with others in a monogamous marriage. Sex is one important way that allows men to feel accepted, chosen, and valued by their partners and wives. Prolonged rejection destabilizes men's sense of emotional security. This also results in men's chronic low level of agitation that something is fundamentally wrong, that the attachment system is sending a clear signal that you are not wanted. Over time, most men stop trying and become less present emotionally, less generous, and more irritable. And this leads to wife pulling further away, leading to a vicious cycle of emotionally detached relationship that neither husband or wife knows how to break. Third phenomenon is prolonged suffering. Living alone can feel lonely, but living with someone that makes you feel unwanted can make one feel even more lonely. Robin Williams said, being alone is not so bad, but being with someone that makes you feel alone is so much worse. This comes from daily sharing your life with someone you love and sharing the bed with them, seeing them, being so close to them can turn on these desire and the primal need, which unfortunately are not met on a daily basis, can lead to prolonged suffering and feeling of emotional isolation. And some researcher even compared to psychological torture. It's the elephant in the room that has no solution. Over time, this feeling of emotional isolation can lead to an existential crisis and lead to the fourth phenomenon, which is a destruction of self-image. Libido is in Latin means desire, but also means the drive for vitality on life itself. The sexual desire or libido now becomes a curse since that drive for vitality cannot be met. Men have been known to ask for medication to turn this off, and medication such as Prozac, SSRI, and other SSRIs, opiates, benzodiazepine can do this, but it does also alter self-image. They go to therapy and told to try harder, compromise, but nothing changed in a lot of these relationship. Eventually, both wives and husbands stop engaging emotionally and function on an autopilot. When sex dies, so does the marriage, as well as part of the man with their damaged self-image. And then there's this culture of enforced silence. The culture creates the image that man expressing their desire is coercion. In therapy, we're told to try harder as above, but feel suppressed by society expectation of not being able to express his sexual need. Over time, it leads to elevated anxiety, depression, and psychological distress. When this need is suppressed, it intensifies to the point of obsession. So the bottom line is sexless marriage do not hurt men, but only hurt men, but they destroy them. They can destroy them completely. Working toward ending sexless marriages or relationship involve communication, understanding of the magnitude of this problem, not just a sexual need, but it's a lot more than that. And it also takes kindness and love for one another. In the next episode, we will discuss what men can do to help break this cycle. And then the episode after that, discuss what women can do to help their men sustain a healthy self-image, to allow them to stay fully emotionally present and committed to their relationship, to their wives, children, and their families. Wives hopefully should not wait until they are turned on to engage in sexual activities with their husbands or partners. And this happens easily early on in a relationship when things are early and exciting. But with the arrival of all the responsibilities, children, pets, bills, this does not happen most of the time anymore. So instead of waiting for them to be turned on, which is for women a lot more difficult than men, women and men should try to have scheduled time to commit to be intimate physically with each other. And then they can start with communication about how they can help promote their own desire during these encounters, which can be learned. And I have also talked about this during previous episodes. So it's worth it to work on recreating the fire, the desire for each other, but life will make it harder to be turned on. And never underestimate the importance of having scheduled activity, either once a week, twice a week, and then make effort to connect to each other and promote that desire as you commit fully to each other, being fully present. Start with just being close in proximity to each other. So we'll talk more about this in the next episodes. If you have any comment or you're in this sort of stuck in the rut with this kind of relationship, please leave me a comment or feedback about what else you think that can help break this cycle. Thank you for taking time to listen to this episode, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.